one. Those days.
Amateur.
I know. If only I'd had that glass of wine.
Still bad, yeah. No sound.
No music to dance to.
Shirley?
I don't think can Shirley hear you?
Shirley, there's no sound.
Okay, it's over now.
What is this?
Now he's professional.
Someone bring
sound
Shirley
now.
a wine. Someone bring her a wine.
I know.
There's no music. Could you hear me, Shirley?
Yeah.
If you're watching on YouTube, 12 weeks in, there was no music, no sound. I was late. We've lost our energy. I'm going to try harder. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Kennedy Arms. This is Comedy Virgins. My arms are covered in paint. If you want to know why, it's because we cannot perform comedy in our pub. We cannot put music on in our pub. But today, I painted our pub. You are allowed to paint pubs, ladies and gentlemen. You can't put on comedy. You can paint in them. So today I was live on the Cavendish Arms stage, not performing, but painting. Yeah! And what I was doing, in my head, I had clapping, cheering, shouting, and whooping, because that's what comedians expect, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching on YouTube, we want you to join in. We want you clapping, cheering, shouting, whooping, sending messages, thumbs up, emojis, all that kind of thing to encourage the comedians to keep on performing, because we've got nowhere to do it. The government won't allow it. Let's have a look at those comedians that are stuck at home, unable to perform. Shirley, let's see them all. Are they giving us away? There they are. Those are the people that the government is making stay at home. You can go out and get really drunk and have a fight in Weatherspoons, but you can't perform comedy.
Boo.
Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the first act to the stage. Please put your hands together, comedians. Start the clapping, start the cheering, start the shouting. If you're on YouTube, start the emojis. Welcome to the stage. It's everybody's favourite, Mr. Brendan O'Donoghue.
Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. Yeah, I thought it'd be only right. I mean, Jack Sharton, manager of Ireland and everything, big football. I love football, but I went to a match. We got free tickets actually from a subcontractor, just to turn a blind eye. But no, we got myself and the Irish guy. Yeah, we got tickets, but we ended up right in the heart of the England fans. All right, this is when Ireland were playing England back in 1991. And I always remember there was like about 15 leagues of the crew fellas playing with the cross of Agincourt on the face, you know, in the night gear, you know, baying for blood. And there was myself and this other lad from Dublin sitting in the middle of them all, trying to hide behind our programs, you know. Anyway, I always remember when Jack Charlton came out the pitch, you know, they were baying for his blood anyway, but it was all in good spirit. But I said to Ed, I said, look, whatever happens, if Ireland score a goal, for God's sake, don't cheer, okay? So we're sitting anyway. England score, and lo and behold, Ireland score a goal. And what does Ed do? He jumps up and goes, yes, yes. He was the only man to move in that entire 3 quarters. Oh yeah, we got out alive. It was all good fun. As I said, 40% of their parents were probably Irish anyway. You all know that only 40% of postmen and milkmen are Irish. Yes. Anyway, listen, thanks very much. I'm off. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hey! If you're watching on YouTube, send him a message. You get to do me a send him a message about his comedy, but would you also mind sending him some colour suggestions for his wall? We've been doing this for 12 weeks and he's still got a bloody beige wall. Please, ladies and gentlemen, send us some comments. Suggest to Brendan that there are other colours, because to be honest, that's beige, Brendan. By the end of lockdown, I want to see some colour on those walls. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get the next act on. Please start the clapping, start the cheering, start the shouting, start the whooping. Comedians, that means you. Come on, join in. Clap till your hands are blurry. We welcome to the stage, Lady Cobb. Where are you, lady?
Dave, I hope you like my walls. They're kind of pea green. I hope it's not too offensive. But anyway, how's everyone doing? Like the lockdown's easing now, isn't it? Schools are going back. Like, did you guys enjoy school? Because I went to like a religious primary school, and I remember like questioning even then, like whether the Bible was meant to be taken literally or not, because I sort of thought, well, it's just different people's accounts of what was happening at the time back in the day. It was journalism, essentially, from like 2,000 years ago. But then I started thinking about journalism today, and I think if things go horribly wrong, like we could find ourselves in a position of about 2,000 years' time where we're all living our lives by the Daily Mail. I bought this to come on this gig. I hate myself. But I have actually learned a couple of important things from the Daily Mail. So I found out that Kate Middleton bought a dress from Marks and Spencer's. Prue Leith has said that she thinks there's a class divide in Britain. I had no idea until I read this. The most important thing I've learned from the Daily Mail is that some people that live in this country used to live in other countries. Immigration, it was a joke about their anti-immigration government. But, you know, I just think this kind of shoddy journalism, not only is it bad for society, but it's really kind of confusing for people, especially generations that kind of grew up without this awareness of diversity and the need for equal rights. So my friend is always calling her mum out for using the wrong phrase. She's like, Mum, you can't say that anymore. You can't use that word anymore. So her poor mum's paranoid now. She doesn't know what she's allowed to say and what she isn't. Sitting telling a story at dinner table the other night, and she's like describing this girl. She's like, I think she's one of those, oh no, I don't think I can say that word. So my friend said, Mum, look, whisper it in my ear, and then I'll tell you whether it's a word you're allowed to say at the table. So her mum leaned into her dead serious and went, I think she's one of those Catholics. That's all from me, thank you.
If you're watching on YouTube, what have you got to do? You've got to get your fingers and type some messages. Let them know what you think. Also, look at Brendan. Have a look at that room. Fairy lights, feathers, fireplace, cat. Brendan, you've got to accessorise, mate. You've got to accessorise. Next week, I want to see accessorisation from Brendan O'Donoghue. It's time for the next act. Please put your hands together. Start the clapping, start the cheering, start the whooping, especially if you're one of the comedians, because you're the only ones we can hear. But do join in on YouTube as we welcome to the stage the fabulous Mr. Bernstone.
Thank you. So the government have been counting one glove as one piece of PPE, which was shocking until I realised they were buying them to put on a Michael Jackson musical. It's going to be about the government's response to the pandemic. Bad. America has bought up most of the world's coronavirus drugs, and Trump has also bought up most of the world's Viagra. But it's not going to help him. He couldn't be a bigger prick if he tried. A lot of Trump supporters are anti-abortion and anti-contraception. At one recent anti-contraception protest, Trump supporters opened fire at police, which is ironic, really, as they behaved like condoms. They broke under pressure and shot someone in the face. Joe Wicks is one of the heroes of the pandemic, and him and Jesus have got a lot in common. They've both got long hair, they both got beards, and they both got a book deal out of a crisis. The only difference is that only one person had to die for Jesus to get his book deal. These people did not die in vain, though, because Joe Wicks' book is going to be available to buy in a range of high street shops, so people can enjoy it in this life or next. That's it from me. Thanks.
Men entertaining you. If you stand at home watching on YouTube, we're not asking much. We're just after a little massage our egos. Let us know what you think. Are you enjoying it? If you're not enjoying it, don't tell us. We don't care. But tell us if you're enjoying it. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Ben. Give him a round of applause. Stop, ladies and gentlemen. We got the lady. Last time she was on, her bedroom was untidy. I said she had to tidy her bedroom. Let's have a look, see if she has. It's Sakisa!
Allow me in my bedroom. Okay, look at my bedroom. No. Okay. We're here for jokes. Okay.
You've definitely gone close up, so I can't see the
Yeah,
mess.
that's exactly what happened. I was like, he's gonna pick up my room. No, you don't need to happen. That needs to happen today. So I've gone back into my office. I only go back to my office twice a week, but we had to have training. We had to have a sexual harassment training, which is kind of weird for me and my work because it's only just women. But I mentioned this to a male friend of mine, and he said to me, "I think I'll be good at that." And I was a bit like, I think I'm already good at like not being able to sexually harass people, but I suppose that you can always improve. Just a little. That's because I haven't seen a man in my office for the last 2 years unless he's fixing something, which is really weird because at work we get an email 3 times a week to let me know there's a man in the office. I have no idea why. What am I going to do to this man? I have no idea. Apparently he's not safe with 150 women in the office, apparently. So I've been thinking a lot about phones. The fact, especially now in this COVID quarantine situation, a lot of us have been on our phones. And I feel like I'm that person that is really desperate for a charger. I'm always that person asking someone for a charger because my phone's always dying, and we never wonder why our phone's always dying. Maybe it's because I spent the last 10 hours on Pokemon, receiving dick pics on Hinge. But we just go around saying things like, "Oh, my phone's died. My phone's died. We're so urgent to have our phone charged because our phone's died," and it's really weird of saying that instead of saying my phone's run out of battery, can I just have a charger? Because it's a bit dramatic to say that my phone's died. Like, it's not like the same as saying, well, my grand's died, and you're just like, I know that feeling, my phone's died. It's not the same thing. But imagine if like phones was, and that kind of dramatic thing was the same as like having been like in the hospital with pets and stuff like that, just being like, oh, my cat's died. Oh, the vet's just like, yeah, we can just plug him back in. Let's just charge him back up, shall we? Yeah. Or if you're in a hospital and you're like, oh, my grand's died, and the doctor's like, it's okay, she fell in some water. We could just put in some rice. It's perfectly fine. We can just charge her back up. I feel like some people in that situation will be like, nah, I can imagine. I'm gonna be in the will. Let's keep her out of it. So that was a bit dark at the end. But I'll end it on this. I wrote one-liner joke, and hopefully it will work. I don't think it will, but I was like, so my one-liner is, I don't drink 2% milk because I don't know what the rest is made out of. There you go.
Keisha, you might have closed up with your camera, but along the top of your headboard there, is that dust?
What, this?
Like, there's dust along the headboard.
No, there's no dust.
I think so. Ladies and gentlemen, the dirtiest bedroom on the comedy circuit. Keisha! Give her a round of applause. Time to lift that, ladies and gentlemen. Keep the clapping going. Keep the applause. If you're at home, keep your energy up. Keep your eyes open. It's time for the fabulous Mr. Stephen. Paul, where are you, Stephen?
Oh, hello. Good to be here. Oh, hello. Good to be here. Hello. Good to be here. Yes, it's going to be interesting, going out of lockdown because, well, we're now in a world where people are having to. In the past, people turned a blind eye to the risks involving in touching things, in shops. And in principle, I should have had head start where that's concerned. I could afford But no, that's not the case, in fact. And the reason for that was made very clear to me last year, you see, because, I was getting into bed one day just before Christmas, and putting on my pajamas, and I accidentally touched my penis. And you think, well, okay. But and the thing is, I mean, me being me, because I have OCD, I immediately climbed out of bed. And the intention, obviously, due to my OCD, was to go to the bathroom. But I am also blind, and so I promptly went the wrong way and wandered into the living room and touched this fella. Can you see him? It's a minion.
Yeah.
I can't take him to a charity shop now. I can't. I'd be terrified in case the baby takes and stuffs it in its mouth. And I spoke to a friend about this. She said, Stephen, it's clean. I said, well, what colour is it? And she said, it's yellow. That doesn't inspire confidence in me. And then I started worrying in case I touched anything else. You understand? When I touched my willy, I touched that thing. And she said, just shove it in the washing machine. Wouldn't a bidet be better? This is the first time that joke's landed, you know. That's strange. Normally it never lands. I guess most people don't understand what a bidet is. You need to be half French to know that. But no, I mean, I wouldn't do that joke in Scotland. I think they'd really struggle with a word like washing. Well, thank you. I'm Stephen.
Oh, give him a round of applause. Mr. Stephen Portlock, ladies and gentlemen. Going all right so far. It's going good. Our pub's still closed, like I said, and me and Shirley drove down there this morning, and we spent the day like doing some rewiring in the venue and painting and making it look better. And Shirley had to come back and pick up one of the kids from school, so I said I'd get the train back. When it was time to leave the pub, I realised I hadn't brought from home my mask because we obviously arrived in the car. Now, if you know our pub, you know that there's a fancy dress box. So I thought there's got to be a scarf. I was looking through it, and I found a Spider-Man mask. Now I've got the perfect excuse to travel on public transport wearing a Spider-Man mask. And I felt like a hero, you know, because wearing the mask stops the spread. So I'm like a hero, a superhero in a superhero mask. The best thing about the whole experience was the mask was connected to an entire Lycra Spider-Man suit. I was on the train saving the nation from coronavirus dressed as Spider-Man. Yes! And what a result! Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the next act. Put your hands together, start the clapping, start the cheering, start the shouting! It's time to welcome Mr. Rob Hunt. Where are you, Rob?
Here I am. Hello. You just mentioned it, Dave, but I'm incredibly happy that the pubs and restaurants have started to open for two reasons. Firstly, I can be reminded on what an actual double measure of gin looks like because mine have been slightly over the last time. Secondly, I can go back to doing the really shitty one-star reviews on TripAdvisor, which I love doing. It makes you feel really positive. I mean, it makes them feel like shit, obviously, but I like to do one-star reviews as often as possible. But what it means during lockdown, I've had to really struggle giving one-star reviews. So I've developed my own system for home, for my wife and kids. It's basically based on how well they're doing around the house and how tidy things are. I'm calling it Chip Advisor for now, but what I've done is a bit more analog, to be honest, than TripAdvisor. So what I do is when she's done something really well, or when the kids have been really impressive, I hold up that sign. You know, that's nice. 5-star review from Daddy. Well done. If they let themselves down a bit, I use this one. 1-star review. And then what I like to do as well is it's a bit like tweeting, but again, it's the analog version of tweeting. So around the house, I like to leave little notes. I've got this lovely little notepad I bought. And I think it's really important to give feedback to people, you know, because they don't get it normally and they'd be missing it, you know, because of TripAdvisor. So sometimes I leave that one line around, which is quite nice. Kisses on it, so you know it's borderline passive aggressive. If they haven't really picked it up yet, we do that. You know, something the kids really need to learn. Then after a while, it starts going a little bit more less passive aggressive, and maybe just that one after a while. To be honest with you, I think they're really appreciating it because I can hear my wife in the kitchen now. She's just making me an espresso, I think, so I can hear this noise. So I'm going to go off now, have my espresso. Thanks very much. Bye.
Hey, that was Mr. What, ladies and gentlemen, online to entertain you. All you have to do is let him know what you think. If you're one of the comedians, you can show him by clapping. If you're watching on YouTube, you can write him a message, show him a thumbs up, give him a clap. Come on, you can do it if you're watching on YouTube. Rachel, are you watching? You're not. Are you, what did you think, Rachel? Come on, Callum, let us know. Come on, Dave Trammer, you're watching. Come on. That's just 3 of our regulars. So I thought I'd give them a little prompt there. Thank you for watching. Next one up, I think we're going to have, if you don't mind, Mr. Philip Henderson. Come on, make some noise. Let's get him on stage. Hi, Phil.
Good evening, everyone. I've actually been up since about 5 a.m. I woke up because I realised that my next door neighbour's house was on fire. They didn't know this. They were still fast asleep. Does that make me a hero? Yeah, probably. It's not for me to say. I don't know. But the reason that I knew it was on fire is because I could smell the smoke. I've got what you might call a superhuman sense of smell, which is really good sometimes. If you're in a bakery, it's like heaven. If you're next to someone when they fart, you feel like you want to die. So it's got its ups and downs. But the reason that I've got this superhuman sense of smell is you've probably all heard that if you lose one of your senses, the other senses become stronger. And this happened to me. I was in an accident a few years ago involving a clown, some leather driving gloves, and 150 cherry tomatoes. Now, I can't tell you the story. I can't tell you the story, obviously, because we haven't got the time, and there's some legal reasons for that too. But needless to say, in that accident, I lost one of my senses. But to make up for it, I've got this superhuman sense of smell. So anyway, I'm smelling the smoke this morning, 5 a.m., and I'm thinking, well, I've got to warn them. I've got to call the fire brigade or something. But unfortunately, the sense that I lost was my sense of urgency. So, by the time I'd showered and finished my pancakes, they were long dead. But shame. They were a nice couple. But you know, I did all I could. That's my time. Cheers.
Henderson, ladies and gentlemen, give him a round of applause. If you're watching on YouTube, tell him what you think. Phil, I noticed you've got the IKEA Knox floor light there in grey. Retails at about £7. The LED light bulb, £27.99. Nice light. Give him a round of applause. Only £7 in the IKEA catalogue. 27 for the LED bulb. It's available in opal white. Give him a round of applause for some great IKEA shopping. Do you know what? I'm going to really nick, when we start doing this live, I think I'm going to make all the comedians bring photos of their rooms. Because I'm going to miss this kind of bit of personal kind of, you know, you don't get to, I think we'll do, Shelley, it's your pub, we can do what the fuck we want. We make people bring friends, let's make them bring a picture of their room. Shelley?
I think Skeeter just vetoed that.
Oh.
Yeah, there we go. The V for veto, obviously.
Oh, nice. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I'll stop talking. I'm going to get the next act on. Please put your hands together. Please put them together and make some noise. Start some clapping, cheering, shouting. Welcome to the stage, Mr. Fox.
Thank you. So I'll be honest, guys, I've not really done any virtual gigs, but it's actually because I've got absolutely nothing to talk about. I put this gig thinking like, oh, maybe the stress of it will make me like kind of come up with something. How wrong was I? When lockdown started, I was really arrogant. I thought, I genuinely thought I had like a novel inside me. Turned out it was just wind. And that's something I've definitely learned in lockdown. Like me and my wife have been together for 10 years, so we know each other quite well. But we've definitely farted in front of each other more than ever before. A rough estimate would definitely be somewhere in the range of 1,000,000% more. And like nature was meant to be healing when all the cars were like stopped driving. Ozone layer was meant to be getting better. But I think it's just been made way worse by the gastronomic effects of eating copious amounts of banana bread. That's the main reason everyone should be wearing face masks. Like in March, me and my wife were meant to be in our honeymoon. We were meant to be in Bali, but instead on that day we were when we should have been relaxing on the beach, we were queuing to get into Asda like it was a nightclub. Trying to convince the bouncer that we're sober enough to get the ingredients to buy some more banana fart bread. That's fine. Thank you very much. Cheers.
I'm going to do the applause in a minute, but you can't, like, the theme of the evening seems to have been people's bedrooms, and you can't really look at Matt's without commenting on the orange hair, the orange sweatshirt, the orange picture frames, and the orange books on the bookshelf. Look at that. Everything's orange, and an orange mug. Everything's orange.
Are you Dutch?
I'm not.
What's really weird about that is if that's his bedroom, the only people that ever see this orange theming is him and his wife. He's not even doing it to show off. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Matt Box. Give him a round of applause for his comedy and his orange theming. Look at that. I'm the last act of the night, ladies and gentlemen. I happen to believe that the last act of the night deserves a big applause like the first. So if you're watching on YouTube, please scream and shout until your neighbours come round and ask you what's up. If you're watching with one of the comedians, let's clap and cheer and shout as we welcome to the stage the last act. It's Carmen Butcher. Make some noise!
So, when I was younger, I spent a lot of time picking my nose. But now that I've had the nose job, I wonder if I picked the right one. I got really badly bullied about my big nose. I got called a witch, that I looked like Barbara Streisand. But to be honest, the one that hurt the most was Postman Pat's auntie. Barbara Streisand did something with her life. Like, Postman Pat's auntie is a nobody. Like, literally, doesn't even have an auntie. And if she did, she'd be that person on the Greendale Facebook page asking what time the local takeaway opens. My dad was so against my surgery. He said to me, Carmen, the problem isn't your nose, it's you. You'll get it done and you still won't be happy. That advice still stands today as complete bullshit, because the problem was my nose, and now that I've had it done, I couldn't be happier. So the moral of the story is never take your parents' advice.
That was Carmen. Give a round of applause. That's Carmen Butcher. Round of applause. And looking at the colour of the wallpaper, I don't want to start any rumours, but she may well be at Brendan's house. Butcher, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you've enjoyed yourselves. Guys, we do open mic comedy. It's a place for new comedians and aspiring comedians and people to try out new material. Our pub's closed, so we come together as a community to do it on here, to perform to each other, to get feedback from each other and from you watching on YouTube. So thanks for watching. Keep spreading the word, pass it on Facebook. We're getting lots of views. It's lovely. Hopefully we'll be back there soon. If we're going to get back there soon, we've got to keep raising money because we've got to keep paying our bills. And so in a minute, we'll put up a begging board that will ask you to donate. Put £1 in each, you know, just something so that we can put it into the kitty and keep going, because although we've tried, we can't open. The government keeps stopping us. And look, we're allowed to open as a pub, and if we want to stay closed, because if we open as a pub, we're going to have to let a load of arseholes in. We're in the middle of an estate in Stockwell. We don't want them in. We want to keep doing comedy. So we're going to stay closed, keep those doors closed until we're allowed to do comedy. And for that, we need those pound coins. And when Shirley puts up that thing, we can all donate to the www address that she's going to put on the screen. But please do put a little bit of money in. But most importantly, keep watching and supporting comedy. Because if you don't support comedy, we've got no one to tell our jokes to. And we like telling our jokes. So please, please, whatever you do, put some money in. I'll just keep talking, and eventually Shirley will get bored and she'll probably put that thing up and I'll be able to stop talking. But if not, I could do 1 hour of my editing.
That's one way to stop it.
Yes.
Good. Thanks.
Yay. Yay. Yeah.